Welcome aboard the Azimut Fly 72, the trend-setting new flybridge from the shipyard that's full of surprises. First, a bit of background. The exterior design, evolved by Alberto Mancini, takes the latest generation a step further, while for the interiors, we turn the page entirely. Today is the first chance to glimpse the future of the Fly series through this first model with interior environments designed by Fabio Fantolino. And that's in addition to a host of technical improvements that we'll find on board. But we'll get into details on each feature as we come to it. There's a lot to see, so let's begin our tour. We begin on the Flybridge because this area has been expanded dramatically, thanks again to the use of carbon fiber, which the shipyard has mastered over the years. The ultralight, ultra-strong material allowed the shipyard to expand the Flybridge without sacrificing this yacht's low center of gravity, which on the performance front means great dynamic stability, and on the comfort side means 15% less roll momentum. With the expansion of the Flybridge, the designers had plenty of space to fill, so they created a compromiseless, sprawling three-zone environment. The way it's set up under this hardtop with the variable sun through the sunroof, it's possible for a large gathering of guests to each find a spot that fits their individual preferences and stay all together on this sprawling convivial deck. Let's start from the forepart. Here, where you have a luxurious, inviting sunbathing area flanking the driving position, you can imagine that an owner-operator, of course, would prefer to pilot out here on a beautiful day like today. And you have the optimal visibility, just about all of the same technology available to you here as we'll find at the interior helm. Moving amidships to our second zone, we come to the service and dining area. Here, we have a full-sized American bar, which can be configured with additional storage and even a TV which turns to face the dining. As you see the bar right now, it's complete with a grill, sink, ice maker, cold storage, and bins. The primary function of the bar, of course, is to serve the dining area, and as you can see, it's been developed in a beautiful way. I draw your attention to the supports under the table, which are finished with what's called an inox varnish. Although it is steel, it has a very refined look, and as you can tell, it goes quite well with the color palette. While we're down here, I'll point out that under each of these cushions is a storage compartment. Function certainly hasn't been forgotten. And we can finally move to the last zone, the aft. The third and final zone is the one dedicated to freestanding furniture, and accordingly, this is where the owner has the most freedom. You can outfit it with sunbathing, lounging, a table setup, really anything that you can imagine. There's plenty of space. But when we talk about the cushions, I have to touch them. You look at the depth here, and when you sit down, you sink all the way in. It's really incredible. Combined with the fact that these materials, which are actually super-powered synthetics, easy maintenance, perfectly simple to clean, and they last forever, but they have the look and feel of natural materials, so it's a perfect combination. I want to draw your attention as well to the fact that while you're enjoying this area, you can also enjoy the view. It's a number of considerations that contribute, from this glass parapet instead of having a middle section of metal, and the decision to go with fiberglass capping by Alberto Mancini here, giving a more finished look to this piece. It's accompanied by a new trend, which is to have the steel supports finished in matte black. It looks much more modern, and instead of reflections catching your eye off of the metal, the reflections that catch your eye are off of the waves. Much more natural. Now, I should mention that it's not only here that Alberto Mancini does unexpected things with the fiberglass body of this yacht. Actually, as we look at the yacht's profile, you'll see that the clean lines that develop over the deckhouse windows have become even more angular and sinuous, reflecting both sky and sea at the same time. And as you go along from bow to stern on the side walkways, you'll see that again, the handrails are capped in fiberglass, opening up a window to the sea there as well. Now, I don't want to keep you waiting too long to see the new interiors I promised you, so let's make our way down to the cockpit and continue the tour. Now, forgive me if I'm obsessing too much about the cushions, but it's the first thing you see as you descend from the Flybridge stairs, and I'm just struck by the roundedness, the curvature, but also how deep they extend down towards the deck. It gives you the feeling of residential furniture, but at the same time, It's really a safety feature because when you don't have that hard fiberglass, it just becomes so much more comfortable and safe to move around. And of course, the seating arrangement here is ready to host all 8 overnight guests. Here, a natural wood table like the one we found upstairs, served by a bar cabinet. It's a wet bar, and it's essential because the galley has been positioned forward. This way, we have everything we need right here. Your sink, bins, and an ice maker. Now, even though this is a beautiful hosting space, if you're in the marina moored stern to, for example, it can be disturbing to have people walking by and looking in. For that reason, Azimut supplies a privacy curtain. But when you're anchored in a beautiful bay, on a beautiful day like today, you want to drink in the nature to the maximum, and that means expanding the views. Plus, it's very important to remain in contact with your friends who are enjoying the water toys and swimming. Let's go meet them now. The bathing platform, of course, is where guests make their way into the water. But this is also where the crew makes their way into their accommodations, and there's plenty of storage available. As you can see, the crew quarters are quite comfortable. Plenty of space for 2. The captain has a separate quarters closed off by this door for privacy. Plenty of personal storage around. A curtain here for your first mate, and then a separate bathroom behind the door. You also have a door that goes directly into the engine room, which is ideal for crew members looking to get things fixed quickly. But we'll get into the engine room when we talk about all of the other technical aspects of the yacht at the helm. Let's get back up to the bathing platform. Back on the topic of the bathing platform, there's space for a Williams tender at about 390 or similar, and for guests who want to get into the water, there's a locker here for diving equipment, sea bobs, and of course covers, ropes, everything you might want to have ready to go here on the stern. Now, it's finally time to show you the interiors. Come and meet me in the salon. And as you can see, nothing is the same. For his first collaboration with Azimut, and indeed with any shipyard, Fabio Fantolino has brought his style, which takes admiration from the best designers of the 20th century, to reconcile the past and the present, and to give a vision of the future. In fact, you can see that in the game of contrast that he plays throughout the spaces. For example, here on the sofa you see this strip of leather against the light fabric actually recalls the Canaletto walnut insert amongst the panels here in the ceiling. And again, you can see in this cabinetry a very similar matching of matte bronze and the same walnut as you'll find in the galley later. You don't have separate spaces that feel each one totally alone. You have a blending feeling that creates harmonious total space. That focus on design does not, however, mean that Azimut has forgotten about the practicalities. Here, as soon as you enter, you have access to your lighting controls with presets for all the main activities you'll be doing on the main deck, plus your climate and the rest of the lights. And here, you have the beautiful storage for your custom Azimut glassware. It's perfectly fitted to avoid rattling while underway. Of course, there are champagne flutes as well. And below, for the bottles, a wine cooler. Continuing on the theme of unexpected functionality, that sofa that we were admiring before has 3 sections, and each of them can be raised up to reveal quite ample storage. Now, let's make our way forward. It's not only the architecture and the furniture that Fabio Fantolino was responsible for here in the lounge. Also, the pieces that you find in the middle of the room, the furniture, the tables, the lighting, all of these accents have been designed by him as a part of this total environment. Then, the larger of the 2 sofas faces the hidden TV, which can be deployed with the press of a button. That brings us to the dining area, and this is a really special one. It's hard to make such a beautiful piece like a single slab of marble for the table become well blended with the environment, but thanks to color matching and a beautiful selection of furniture, it's possible. So you see here, instead of having the marble stand out as it might on many yachts, you have an integrated space that really feels smooth and doesn't suck the oxygen out of the room. So before we move on to the galley, or rather as we move, I want to draw your attention to two elements. First, these scales, which are done in a pastel color with reflective finish, and these lighting accents, because they're two elements that really benefit from the flood of natural light that comes in through these windows. And as you see, as we start to move, it becomes a dynamic element. These scales, they shimmer and they catch your eye just for a moment. The galley is so comfortable when you combine all of this natural wood, the synthetic marble countertops that surround you, the abundance of storage with all the cabinetry lined in this matte bronze. It's just beautiful. And all the technology is top of the line. The appliances are from Miele, except for this integrated fridge here, another beautiful element. But the stovetop, the oven, and even our dishwasher are all made by the German company that we have determined has the best durability, reliability, and efficiency on the market. Now, as you can see, this galley is integrated into the social space. It makes a lot of sense for owners and their families, but it's also possible to configure the galley with full-height walls and a sliding door that closes it off completely. It's part of the intelligent design of the layout, which sees the galley, dinette, and helm station grouped toward the forward part of the yacht. The dinette is an especially flexible little area because it not only serves as a perfect breakfast nook here under all of this light pouring through the windscreen, but it can be used as a chart table being next to the helm, a kid's table, or even a crew mess. And it's perfectly positioned to access the storage that's behind me. You never expected that. And in fact, before we transition to the technical area at the helm, I want to show you the control panel. As I was saying before, the grouping of the functional areas on the main deck here is essential, and it's made even more convenient thanks to the side door, so that the crew can make their way all the way from their quarters in the transom in through here without interrupting guests who might be relaxing in the salon. The twin pilot seats enjoy excellent visibility through the large front windows, and with an unexpectedly warm and traditional touch of walnut on the console to integrate the space into the main deck. The controls are all perfectly ergonomic. You see how easily I can reach everything and how well organized it is. The flush glass display is characterized by a next-generation look and feel, although the use of wood, again, blending design elements, recalls nautical tradition at the same time. All the technology on board, from the engines to the lights, the generators, the pumps, the batteries, it's all neatly integrated into the central control and monitoring system by Raymarine. And that includes, as I just mentioned, the twin MAN V12 1400s, which carry the carefully optimized planing hull up to a cruise at 26 knots and a top speed of 31 knots. Now, let's shift our attention back to design and discover what's below deck. The asymmetrical design of the corridor helps guests to feel like they have more space and air as they make their way downstairs, and it's perfectly paired with the storage that's found right here. On a lot of models, you might expect to see the washer and dryer machines here, but since there is space in crew cabins, this area is left for linens, towels, and other shared items. It's also great that the windscreen above allows light to pour in. The Master's Suite takes full advantage of the yacht's full beam. Here you can see that Fantolino went all the way to elaborate his style. Again, the game of contrast, the asymmetry, and the expansive use of this dark canaletto wood helps us to feel even more cozy and warm below deck. It's truly a home at sea. And here on the starboard side, we already encounter the vanity desk area. You see it can be opened to reveal a storage and mirror with light included. And it wouldn't be an Azimut if it didn't have even more surprises hiding away. Here, under the chaise longue, we can reveal a much larger storage compartment, and that is not the biggest one we'll see in this room. Keep guessing. But I think one of the most surprising elements of the master cabin has to be how well integrated the private bathroom is. The details are delicately curated, combining unexpected materials that are perfectly adapted to their purposes. The spacious shower offers a refreshing enclave below deck, ideal for cleansing after a day of salt and sun. Here on the port side, we have another example of the thoughtful layout which organizes the various parts of the yacht. Here we have a chest of drawers just ahead of our walk-in closet. And you note this beautiful varnish is only used below deck. It's a new color we're encountering for the first time. Let me show you just how much space there is inside. But you still haven't seen the largest storage in the master suite. It's actually underneath this bed, which floats in the flood of light that streams through the 2 windows. And I almost missed it because it's so well hidden. There's a TV and a soundbar, of course, behind this mirror. Now, let me show you the VIP. The VIP follows in the footsteps of the master in terms of interpreting Fabio Fantolino's style for a cozier, more homely space. And here you can see the embrace of the bow and the way that all of the areas have been exploited to maximize storage. Again, not only under the bed, but we have twin storages on either side and useful little nooks to leave things like books. The ensuite bathroom as well helps to refresh and lighten the space with stone accents. With so much storage allocated to just 2 guests here in the VIP, I'm sure that your friends will be asking if they can leave some of their stuff here. Let's go and see where your friends will be staying. The third cabin is a double, so it's perfect for couples, especially because it has its own private access to the day head. And of course, plenty of personal storage beneath the bed as we've seen before, but also in this full-height wardrobe. Now, let's see the final guest cabin. Fantolino's touch makes every cabin on board feel like home, and the twin is no exception. You see here, again, in addition to the comfortable orientation of the beds, a little bit asymmetrical, keeping to his same style, but you have that creative use of space above our heads, below the beds, and of course, in our full-height armoire. Plenty of personal storage to enjoy long stays at sea. This cabin also has its own ensuite bathroom. Now it's getting late and we saved the bow lounge for sunset, so let's go and conclude the video. The bow lounge of the Fly 72 is a perfect panorama, suited for all-day enjoyment thanks to its flexibility. For example, this row of seating here counter-facing can actually be folded down in order to extend the sunbathing. But if the sun gets too hot, you can always put up a shade with carbon fiber supports. And the design deserves a word of its own, because as you can see, it's been elaborated here well beyond your average bow lounge. The leather strap, which recalls what we saw in the salon, a way to break up the space that then becomes spread out and reflected onto the table here, and the smoky glass creates a color which is quite similar to the fabric. It's all very cohesive. Perhaps my favorite piece, however, happens to be these inset trays with a rim to make sure nothing slides. This kind of care and attention to detail is exactly what distinguishes the Fly 72. And there you have it, the future of Azimut's Flybridge series, as foretold by the Fly 72. For those who are looking for something more transversal, this yacht is simply irresistible.